Hey everyone, so I've been looking everywhere for a good Durant deck and I haven't really seen one modern, so this is going to be a profile on Durant deck with the new Sword and Shield rules. Sword and Shield really didn't change much about the deck, in my opinion. I think though it definitely makes you want to go second. Devour, it's pretty obvious why we're going to have four of these guys in the deck. We need to mill four. So we need to have all four Durants in here. That way Devour can mill those four cards. Um, and that way you get the most out of the card. The next one, I feel like this became a staple in this deck, especially, well, in all other decks, really. Stellar Wish is just really, really good. Just especially in a trainer heavy deck like this, like as you can see, I have 46 trainers, and this just basically lets you draw another card. And yes, sleep is usually a problem, but we're going to see why that isn't such a problem. I mean, everyone knows escape board just makes this draw an extra card. That's pretty much it. So we run four Jirachi just because it limits how many times you're gonna mulligan. Um, Sometimes those mulligan draws just really hurt you, and if it may seem like you want your opponent to have a big hand, but you actually don't because usually they'll be able to get enough resources to do what they're gonna do. They can Cynthia their hand away. There's just a lot of options you give them, and you need to have their options limited at the beginning. Um, and like I said, in a trainer heavy deck like this, you need all of those cards. So, going down the list here, we have Level Ball. I like Level Ball over Nest Ball simply because of the fact that if you have a full bench, you have your three Durants and like two Jirachis um, on your bench. This will still let you kind of make your deck smaller, just kind of thin out that deck to give you more options later on. And the reason why you want to do that is cards like this. Poke Gear, I run four of. There's a lot of supporters in here, and Poke Gear just kind of helps you get through that. It's going to help you get your Bridgets turn two, or if you decided to go second, just helps you set up. It's going to help you get your teammates or your Bellabob and uh, Brycon man. Um, so it's just a really good card to have, especially in a deck like this. You can Jirachi and then get this, and it essentially just extends the reach of your Jirachi because Jirachi is going to go. You grab one of these, then you can look at your top seven again and see if there's a supporter there that you were missing. And speaking about extending your Jirachi, uh, Professor's Letter is a good way to kind of basically just Stellar Wish for energy. You can just use Stellar Wish, grab the Professor's Letter. There's three of them, so you get pretty good odds on drawing that Professor's Letter. And it grabs you two. This deck has a lot of either one for twos. It um, I'm not a big fan of having these one for ones. For example, Pokegear's a one for one, Level Ball's a one for one. Um, Revives that you're gonna see here. This can technically be a one for one. It could also be a one for three if for some reason you need to shuffle three Pokemon back into your deck. It lets you just shuffle that. The initial reason why I like having Rescue Stretcher in here though is it extends my revives. It takes a little longer because you have to choose your mode and hopefully you don't misclick. Misclicks are a dangerous thing in this deck. But yeah, you definitely want to use this first option. But if you ever do need to use this other option, it's there for you. And this other option helps out sometimes when you have those prize Durants. And those prize Durants are going to be an issue, but we have a card that deals with that. Actually, right after we deal with Revive, I do run more Revives than I do Rescue Stretchers, just because if you're playing this in a tournament, an online tournament, those time restrictions get to you. So Level Ball does kind of have a time problem there because you do have to play it from your hand. Same thing with Rescue Stretcher. So I don't like having to pick my mode and then having to click it from my hand, drag it down. It does take time, and when you're running a deck like this, where you might be thinking long, or you just simply have to do those extra turns. Sometimes I've won games literally just because my opponent's so busy thinking that they're wasting their time, and because I've shaved off so many seconds in time, I they just end up losing on time. Um, Round decks is essentially how you're going to deal with those prize Durants. So those prize Durants are a problem. You need to have all four in there. Sometimes I've had up to three Durants in my prizes. This doesn't guarantee that you're gonna get those Durants back in your deck, but I prefer him over Gildian. I think it's how it's pronounced. Let me look him up down here. Gildian. He was Gideon. Gideon. Let's just look up prize cards. I've seen people run it. I'm not a big fan of it just because it takes up a supporter slot. Gladian. There we go. Gladian. You get to switch the card automatically, but that's losing a supporter slot. This, especially if you have more prize Durants, it lets you get those Durants out of there. The other card similar to Poke Gear, Trainer's Mail. I really like Trainer's Mail because this gives you the chance of items. Yes, it's only 4 cards as opposed to those 7 that Poke Gear gives you, but just the ability to, again, extend that reach that Stellar Wish has. It just extends it even further because you look at the top 7, you find there's no trainers you like in there. You grab a trainer's mail, and hopefully, since you're shuffling right after Stellar Wish, this trainer's mail will help you get that card. Um, Versus Seeker, again, you're gonna want to get those Bella back, and you want to keep reusing those, or in case you just don't have access to a supporter, or you Stellar Wish and you find a VS Seeker but not the supporter you want, and you know you've already played the supporter, I always check my discard pile when I'm Stellar Wishing, just clicking and making sure that you have that. The next one, this is a card that was good, but now that Chaos Swell is being played, I've been debating on switching back to Energy Retrieval. This card is really good because, again, it's a 1 for 2 um, to your benefit, but it can also be played more than once. Now, the problem with Chaos Swell being in the format now, or I guess existing because this is an expanded deck, is the fact that if you need those energies from your discard pile and they already have a Chaos Swell out, you're essentially just wasting this card and you're going to have to wait till the next turn because hopefully you have another Mount Coronet, and that's just not optimal. So I might switch this out, but I still believe that it is a good deck. Chaos Swell's played a lot in Arceus decks, and this has a big weakness to that simply because if they're knocking out your Durants, they only need to knock out 3 Durants or a Jirachi, and that's game. So it is an issue there. Um, this is the card that really helped out. Once this card came out, I felt that Durant became more viable again. Bell Elaba and Bryson Man. Um, it's just really good. You're never going to use this. I haven't found a situation where the second effect is useful. You're hurting yourself a lot. You want those cards in your hand, so you don't want to discard three cards and then discard some of the Pokemon in your bench. I mean, you could play it smart, where you only have those three Durants and they're forced to get up some of their setup decks. Um, unless you're playing against something like Excelgor or something that requires a lot of bench space. I feel in this format and nowadays that's just not going to be an issue. You just want it for these three cards. So having a max Devour, Durant's Devour, and this, you're essentially milling them 7 cards a turn. And if we count the fact that they have to um, draw their 7, draw their prizes, their first turn draw, that's already 14 cards. So they're already at 46 cards. So if you're doing 7 uh, like this every turn, you only have to essentially deal with 7 turns of milling them. And that's not even including their 1 card per turn. So that's essentially they're drawing eight they're losing 8 cards in their deck a turn, assuming that they're not shuffling stuff back in, but that's also assuming that they're not doing professor's research. I mean, let's face it, every deck runs some form of professor's research. My favorite, of course, is the full art Juniper. Um, this is before they started putting professor's research because they started realizing like we're always going to print the original Professor Oak over and over again. Sycamore, I think I just run um, just when I feel the art kind of goes into it. But yeah, almost every deck runs it. Unfortunately, I can't run my Junipers in this deck. It just doesn't flow. Um, Bridget. Bridget is how you're getting all of those Durants out. It also works really well if you're using your rescue stretcher. Because let's say somehow they knocked out 3 of your Durants and you're like, that's going to slow me down. Level ball can't get me there. Um, or if you discard some here and you don't have the revives, you can always use your rescue stretcher to get a bunch of those Durants back in 1 turn. So this is another reason why Durant likes going second. You want to get that Bridget out, get that Durant set up, hopefully use a Stellar Wish, and just be able to keep going. And teammates, let's face it, these Durants are going to get knocked out every turn. You're going to need these 4 teammates. It just helps you get a revive, get an energy. Um, Before Lieutenant Surge got banned, I used to be able to Lieutenant Surge, grab a teammates for whatever supporter, and an additional card, sometimes another teammates, and use another supporter right after. But after the ban, it didn't really matter that much because let's face it, Bella Bob and Bryson Man are just superior. You're just milling it. It became more of a speed deck than anything. And I don't think I need to explain Escape Board. Skateboard Jirachi has 1 retreat cost. The skateboard lets you retreat when a Pokemon's asleep or paralyzed. So I have used this against other decks when they try to paralyze me. I've used it sometimes when I get paralyzed and I have the energy to retreat, but I can't. So they're strange cases, but this deck does come in handy in those decks. If there's a Raichu deck, I don't think Raichu's being played as much anymore. Um, or when they're doing the Flaffy and trying to just put you to sleep and controlling you. This is really good. And of course, it is really good to always have some type of ace spec. I know they're older cards, but I feel Life Dew is really good here. Sometimes you do need those 7 turns, or even if you just need those 6 turns, you need this Life Dew to get you there. This deck doesn't run any GXs, EXs, or anything, so that Life Dew just buys you another turn provided they don't just detach it. So that's a lot of trainers. Everything's essentially maxed out. I would have probably maxed out the level balls, but when it came down to it, I was debating on cutting Bridget or cutting a level ball. Just Bridget, if you start second, is really good. Even if you have to skateboard a Durant, um, just to be able to Stellar Wish, sometimes it's worth it. Um, it's just a good way to kind of start the game off. So if you're going second, Bridget's really good. The level ball gives you another chance to kind of stay in the game if you're going first. Because if you end up losing that coin flip and they decide to go second, then you're at the mercy of them knocking out a 70 HP Pokemon. Um, the original deck used to run Eviolites, the old version of Hard Charm, basically, and special metals. I don't run any of that. Um, you're weak against Faba. You're weak against Enhanced Hammer. So I just feel having this maxed out makes more sense. Um, Professor's letters. There aren't that many energies to begin with. You can see right here, I only run the six. And I don't even need to show you the energy. They're all basic energies. Otherwise, Professor Letter's useless. There's no reason to have more than that. If one's prized and you don't get all your energies, you're probably going to draw into an energy at some point in time. Anyway, this is how you get your energy out. Since you only have those six basics. Um, you could run the fourth. I think it's not as necessary because you're running either energy retrieval or Mount Coronet. Just not necessary to run more of these. This, again, I only run the three because eight is kind of excessive. Again, you don't have that many turns that you need to revive your Pokemon. If anything, you might even want to cut a revive out and put another energy retrieval in here. Um, And another honorable mention for this deck would probably be Pokemon Ranger. As I mentioned, this deck has a difficult time against Arceus just because they can take out. I mean, I know it's the creation trio. It's Arceus, Palkia, Dialga, but I just call it Arceus. It's the closest thing Pokemon has to a deity, so why even mention the other ones? But Arceus is tough, so you could run that Ranger. They waste their GX attack essentially because you got rid of all the effects. In case none of you have seen Pokemon Ranger. Pokemon Ranger. Ranger is usually a one of. You remove all effects of each on each player and on or her Pokemon. So all effects go away. Any effects on the Pokemon, any effects on the player. It can essentially get rid of item lock, things like that. And in the case of how I was mentioning it for Arceus, you'll get rid of the fact that they get that extra prize, and they can't do it again because they got rid of their GX attack, and Arceus isn't a water Pokemon, so they can't use Misty and what's her name, Misty or Lorelei and Misty. Sorry, I forget the order. What is the order of it? Is it Lorelei and Misty or Misty and Lorelei? It is Misty and Lorelei. They can't use Misty and Lorelei to use another GX attack, so they essentially it's gone and you can go about your merry way. It's an honorable mention, but I feel your goal should be just to mill. So let's take a look at this deck in action, shall we? Let's go to versus, and we're going to not do theme decks. I am planning on doing theme deck battles later on. The reason why I call it VEBtran is it just makes it easier when I'm looking through all of my decks. In general, the B just makes this pop up right to the front. Um, I call standard decks Z. I call legacy decks don't really have an overlap because of the fact of how they are played. Back when Unlimited was a thing, I used to call Unlimited A. That way I know the deck specifically with unlimited cards goes straight to the front, and I don't have to deal with any of that minutia of, wait, is this an expanded deck? Is there a standard deck? Since that all happened. I guess since Unlimited's gone, there's no real reason to label that naming convention, but let's see this deck in action. I'm sure you guys want to see how all of this theory plays out. So we're playing against, looks like they have 4 types in their deck. Are we playing against a Durant deck? No, Durant doesn't run any lightning cards. I do have a Durant deck built, so let me know if you guys want to see that. It'll probably be a future video. So I'm starting off here. Good energies. Uh, VS Seeker's not going to help me out turn 1. But let's see what's going on here. All right. So again, we're going first. So I'm gonna do the professor's letter just to start thinning out that deck. That's gonna make my Jirachi essentially have like a longer reach. I'm gonna do trainer's mail. This is gonna let me grab that escape board for my Jirachi. So again, I would have been able to draw that with the Stellar Wish, but the Trainer's Mail let me get it out. I'm playing these first because since I haven't taken that many cards out of the deck, I want to uh I have the most amount of trainers in here, and this doesn't have as big of a reach as Jirachi. So I'm gonna grab the Poke Gear. Again, I'm gonna play the Poke Gear before I do the Stellar Wish. Grab that Bridget. So this is what I meant about having those 4 Bridgets. Again, I'm a little susceptible right now, but I think I'll be fine. So now I'm going to Stellar Wish, grab that level ball. This will also let me know if I'm going to need a Roudum later on, being able to do this. So I'm not going to need to Roudum yet. I might need to do it later for revives. Let's see what we have here. Oh, I have a life due there. I have 2 more escape roads. Oh, I got a Bridget prize. That's good. Bella Bob, looks like there's 1 prize, but that's fine with the VS Seeker, so let me grab that. Okay, so let's go with the Durant here. Might as well charge him up for battle. I'm not going to attach the skateboard just in case he one-shots me, although it looks like he's running some type of controlled deck since he has Primate Wisdom. Oh, and he scooped. All right, so I feel like that kind of robbed you guys of an experience. Um, but let's see what we have here. Let's try to do another match since uh, they have weren't comfortable with me having all of that set up turn 1. Um, it's always funny when I see those advantage things. Sometimes I feel they go based off of damage as opposed to this fire deck. This is going to be an interesting uh, matchup here. Okay, I won the coin toss, so I am not going to want to go first this time, just to try to see if I can start off. So here we have a mulligan. Oh, double mulligan. I should have realized because of how fast that was. Okay, so here it looks like we're actually going to be able, assuming that they don't stop me out. Ooh, they're running a mill deck as well, it looks like. I wonder if they're running Houndoom since it's a pure fire deck. Let's see what we have here. Well, they milled. It could be Houndoom because of just the fact of how many they're doing here. So they actually have the option as a Houndoom player to just go for the KOs if that's not working out for them. Oh, they're not running Houndoom. Looks like. I wonder what deck this is. Some type of mill. I saw those Bella Bob or some type of control. Level ball. What are you level balling for? Oh, okay. They're essentially going to try to control the field with the Pyroars, it feels like. That would be my guess if I were to guess this. Oh, and it looks like I don't have to worry about using Roudom yet. Okay, I have access to all of those. I have access to that. I'm saying I'm having access to the Brio Man. I don't like spending too much time. I'm trying to do it for your benefit, but I'm already like analyzing what I have here. How many energies do I have? 4. This should be a really good start to a good match here. So again, I am going to attach that. I'm going to I like attaching this first. There used to be a glitch one time where I wasn't able to retreat if I didn't have that attached already. Do this. I am going to get, yeah, I'll get the VS Seeker. I feel like I'm pretty well set up here. I like kind of just milling these things out just in case I need to thin out the deck for some reason. Might as well grab another blah, blah. So right here, I already have 3 turns of just milling for 7 if I want. Actually, not really if they do knock me out. So that's where the teammates comes into play in case I need to grab those revives. So let's go here. So again, I couldn't really mill for 7 turn 1, but that's okay. Milling for 4. My very first turn's really good. All right, they're drawing into their cards. That's what we like to see here. So let's see what's going on. I might not even play that Mount Caronet until later, um, just because I like him having that temptation of I want to draw cards. I have this fire energy. This fire energy could become more cards for me. So let's see what problems this can cause us. Discard all energies attached to active Pokemon. That's not so much of a problem. We're just gonna mill. I know this deck kind of feels like it's on autopilot, but we got a really good hand. Ooh, I lost one of my Mount Caramets. That's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna hold off on that energy just in case something happens where I need to put that energy in. So let's mill. So they are already at 27 cards. So again, if we're doing our math right, we're looking at about 5 cards a turn. I don't like depending on Bellalabob for these, so I consider 5 cards a turn, 4 for Devour, and the 1 for their draw. So they're already at 22. So we're looking at about 5 turns. Now they're using Welder, so now that's another 3 cards uh, that they're drawing. So we're at 4 turns. We only need 4 turns of mill. They knock it out. Boo hoo. This is the beauty where Jirachi comes in. So we promote the Jirachi. We're gonna Stellar Wish. This will allow us to grab this revive right here. Perfect. So we're gonna grab the revive. Gonna attach the energy now. Revive this Durant. Again, it feels like autopilot, but it's just the strength of the deck that makes it like this. So we're gonna discard our 3. Didn't really lose that much on that one. So go back to Durant. They're gonna proceed to knock us out. We're probably gonna have to teammate for a revive next turn. That's fine. Again, I don't like counting on the Bellalabob. It makes the deck run really fast. He's already at 11 cards. So we're gonna see what we're gonna do here. I actually haven't seen Pyroar break here. So 180 damage, that would be nice if I ran EXs, but I do not. So again, he's just at a disadvantage because most decks are looking to draw those prize cards. So get back, promote to Jirachi. Again, I would always do this first. Always do your Stellar Wish first. You don't want to teammates first because what if you teammates for something you end up Stellar Wishing for? That would be bad. Ooh, this is tempting. Do I get that or do I go for the VS Seeker? Of course not. I have 2 VS Seekers in hand. There's no point in doing this because I can have the benefit of Stellar Wish. So I'm going to be able to grab this. Got that. Oh no, I'm out of energy. That's where you teammates. You can teammates for 2 energy essentially, which we have plenty of it in the discard pile. But since we've already lost 2, might as well get a permanent way of doing it. Again, we are losing the advantage, or we're losing the advantage of them milling. But at this point, I'm sure even he realizes I can't afford to draw any more cards. You put that on there, revive the Durant. We're gonna grab our 2 energy, go here, retreat back. Yeah, I actually get that comment a lot. You have a good deck. Um, you can play down the other Jirachi. I actually think I am, just in case this does make me susceptible to a Guzma though, so it's not my favorite move, but considering that we have a life due, there are worse things I can do. So he's at 7 cards. I can actually do that next turn even without having to revive a Durant. So I'm in a very good spot right now. Um, let's see what he's gonna do here. He probably has everything he needs on there. Oh, there we go. I said Guzma, but it looks like he can Lysander. So he can just Lysander Durant or Jirachi. He's gonna get rid of that. If that doesn't matter, we have this game. So let's give him a well played here. Go here. I didn't even have to lose an energy, and he just got rid of the Jirachi, which again, it's a very well played game. This deck's just very aggressive with the mill. Let's do that. And let's end this game. Alright, guys, so you guys saw the power of that. That guy scooped, and you essentially got to see another match. So let me know what you guys think of the video. If you guys have any ideas for other videos, I've been playing this game since Black and White Online, so I do have a lot of cards that we can play around with if you guys want to see a deck profile of other decks. Um, this is my first video, but I would hope you subscribe. That way I can start releasing these weekly, and I might even start doing ideas for theme decks. I have every theme deck since the game has been placed out. So I do have opinions on if you're starting out, what decks you should play and why, what should be your first investment in a deck. Um, these two are really good. I need to also star the new grass deck. Let me star that right now, actually. But again, guys, uh, let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you again soon.